Good morning to everybody in the United States. Good afternoon to everybody in Europe. Welcome to Live at the Podium. I'm your host, Joshua Ross. Today we got a special guest with us. We got Brandon Connette, former Duke Blue Devil, former Fresno State Bulldog, former Dresden Monarch, and current Helsinki Roosters quarterback. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good, Josh. Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being with us, man. So first off, congratulations on the NFL championship that you achieved this past weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate that. That was one heck of a game that went on. I wish I could have been a more of a spectator for it because that was a pretty cool football game to be a part of.
I bet, man. We'll get to that more later. To the fans out there, just like every the past few weeks, we're gonna have Q&A at the end of the interview. So if you got any questions, go ahead, place them in the comment section. We'll get to them later. If you got a nice witty comment, I might even show it to Brandon as we go on through. So Brandon, college career. You got to live a dream that few of us get to be at the FBS level and to be at a prestigious school like Duke and Fresno. How was that experience, man?
It was amazing. I was definitely blessed coming out of high school to be able to go to Duke University straight out of college, and one of the best place I've ever been in my life. I absolutely loved every second of being at Duke. They got the best coaches, people that actually like care about you, and in the recruiting process, I kind of heard like from different coaching staffs, yeah, like coaches care about you. That's what everyone says, but I truly felt like they cared about every single player, whether or not you were a starter didn't really matter to them. They cared about you on and off the field, and so I absolutely loved being at Duke University for the 4 years I was there, and lucky enough to be able to graduate from there. And then after that, being able to go for my final year at Fresno State, be closer to family back in California. So thankful that Fresno State gave me the opportunity to play for them for one season, and made a lot of lifelong friends there too. Still keep in touch with a lot of guys from Duke, a lot of coaches from Duke, and then also a lot of the players from Fresno State. Still keep in touch with them almost on a weekly basis. So a lot of great relationships that I was able to build.
That's awesome, man. Let's talk about that 2013 season you had. That was a special year, not only for, I'm sure, for you playing, but I know for Duke fans and the college football world in general. Having a basketball school like Duke show up on the football field, it was something awesome. How did that season change things for you, or just the experience level of it?
Yeah, I think experience-wise, that was like one of the obviously the most fun I've had in a whole season-wise playing football, because previous years everyone had always counted Duke out. It's always just a basketball school, and it was funny whenever I first started telling people I was going to Duke, a lot of people didn't even know that they had a football team. They thought it was just basketball, and that was about it. Maybe a few people had heard about lacrosse. But so football was never a big thing there. I remember my first year there, we didn't even make a bowl game, and just kind of went home during the winter break and watched watched all the other bowl games, and sat at home and didn't like that feeling very much. But Coach Cutcliffe kind of created this atmosphere at Duke of creating a winning mentality in all the new guys that were coming in each year, and my class was kind of one of the first that he was able to put under his wing and actually put his stamp on. And so being able to go on the next year, make it to a bowl game at the Belk Bowl, and then the next year, the 2013 season, being able to make it all the way to the ACC championship game, being able to play in that, being able to play in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, and not just playing in those two games, but the caliber of competition we were playing against. I remember that year we had beat Miami at home when they were ranked, and we were underdogs. We beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech when we were underdogs. And so people were counting us out the entire year, but for us to keep on winning, it was just so much fun. We were really the only ones that believed in us were the players on that team. And so for us to keep on winning, just a blast. And then being able to play, I remember that year. Sometimes I like to just reminisce about some of the players and I got to play against in my college career. And that year in particular, I got to play against Jameis Winston in the ACC championship game. I believe they had Devontae Freeman at running back then too. And then in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, that was being able to play against Johnny Manziel and see him live. Although it wasn't very fun to see him run all over us for the second half and come back and beat us, it's pretty cool to be able to see those types of caliber players on the field, on the same field with you, and know that you're competing with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that it makes you or builds up your own confidence knowing the fact that you're on the same field with those type of guys and you're having a successful day against those type of guys. I know for me, I never had that chance to be on that kind of caliber, but I had a chance to play against guys that are similar, and just the experience itself was amazing.
Yeah.
Now a little bit of fangirl in me is going to come out. Did you ever get a chance to work with Peyton during his workouts at Duke?
I got to meet him a couple times. There was actually a point where he was at Duke for about a week or two, and he actually learned my name. So that was probably the highlight of my life, was having Peyton walk into the training room one day and say, "Hey, what's up, Peyton? How you doing?" And then he'd be, "Hey, Brandon, how you doing?" So for him to know my name, I'm sure he's obviously forgotten it by now, and if I met him right now, he probably wouldn't remember it at all. But for that one moment, he knew who I was, and I got to watch film with him and throw with him and be able to watch him go through football drills. And so that was definitely an amazing experience to be able to be around Peyton and Eli. And they would always bring out all their receivers and running backs and tight ends and stuff. So just be able to be around that caliber of NFL stars was a great learning experience, just to see their focus and how they went around every single day and how they attacked the day.
Yeah, that was too, because I went to the Manning camp before my senior year of high school, and just they bring a different level of work ethic, even just being in the presence. And also too, it's always a good thing when Dan Shula curses you out in the middle of a 7-on-7 tournament, and then Cooper Manning calls you the white plexical Burris when you're in that the college meeting with all the players and everything in front of everybody. So I can
That's something you'll never forget.
Oh, that's, to be honest, that's outside of winning the conference championship in college. That might be the best football experience of my life. Just having Cooper Manning telling me I'm the white flexible Burris.
That's pretty cool.
So now getting into your professional career here in Europe. Your first year was in Dresden. Looking at your stats, you had a solid season. Actually, solid's understating a little bit. You had over 5,500 yards total offense, 76 total touchdowns. That's quite a season. Drew Brees doesn't put those kind of numbers up.
It was kind of crazy to me because after I had finished playing football at Fresno State, like I didn't even play football for a full almost a year and a half. I got a job working at ESPN in Fresno, California. Didn't pick up a football for a full year. Didn't even go in a weight room for a full year. In my mind, I was never going to play football again. And then one fateful day, I got a Facebook message from Coach Cruz, the offensive coordinator for the Monarchs. And he asked me, "Hey, do you have any interest in coming to Germany and playing football?" And I still laugh about the message all the time, as my first response to him was, "Are you sure you have the right person? I haven't played football for a full year. Are you sure you know who you're talking to?" And he assured me that I was the person he wanted to have out there. And I'd never been to Europe before, and so I thought it'd be, if anything, a fun experience. I'm not really looking to I'm not chasing an NFL dream. I'm not chasing anything like that. So for me, initially coming out here, it was just to be able to travel the world, meet new people, spend some time in Germany. So I thought it would just be a fun life experience to come out here. And obviously playing football was part of it, and that was what allowed me to have that experience, and absolutely loved every minute of it, off the field and on the field. But yeah, as far as the stats are concerned, that I had a very talented group of wide receivers around me. I mean, you can see them, even with me gone in Dresden, they're still putting up mad points and crazy stats. So although I like to look back at the stats, and it's pretty cool to see those numbers, it's more about the guys that were around me out there, because they're still doing it even without me. So it wasn't that big of a integral part of the offense, but it's cool to look back and see that, because I actually did the math. I threw more touchdowns just last year in Dresden than I had playing quarterback the whole previous part of my life, including all college, all high school, and Pop Warner combined. So it was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, I can a similar situation last year. Wasn't quite GFL one competition, but playing in Poland, having as many touchdowns as I had in the 9 games we played, by far blew out what I've done the rest of my career, because I think I'm a similar type of athlete, more of the read option type guy. Never have I ever had to rely on my arm the way I had before it. So it's a nice change up to what we've experienced in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
So but the season ended a little premature. Talk about that game against the Unicorns.
Yeah, the Unicorns. Watching them on film, I knew that they were going to be a good defense. We watched the film and we knew what they were going to do. We had a good game plan against them. And then whenever they showed up on the field, I don't know what it was, but they showed up with an intensity that we hadn't seen from them on film all year long. And I can even go back and rewatch that film, and they played harder against us than they did any game that year. And it showed, and their defense played really well. They gave all of us, everyone on offense, some fits. The offensive line had some struggles. Receivers had some struggles. I had some struggles. So the Unicorns just played a great game. We were still able to put up some points on them, but not the points we were used to putting up. So they played really good. They're definitely one of the top teams in Europe, and it showed in that game. And so it was tough to have such a great season, be putting up all those points, and then to have it end without making it to the German Bowl. So that was definitely something that hurt a little bit, but it was still a lot of fun being able to compete with that caliber team.
I know they played a different intensity, as you'd said. What was the number one thing that caused your offense issues to not performing at the level you had seen the rest of the season?
Yeah, I don't think there's just any one thing you can put your finger down. You can't just say I wasn't making the right reads, receivers weren't catching the ball, line wasn't doing their job. There wasn't anything that was just consistently someone was messing up. It was just like every single play, one of their guys just gave a little bit more effort than somebody on our team was giving, and so whenever, as you probably know, if one person makes a mistake, then it can crumble the whole play, even though everybody else does the right thing. So we just had one person here and there, and it was me a bunch of the plays too. But we just had somebody make a mistake and just kind of threw off the rhythm of the offense a little bit, where previously in the season we were used to being on point every single game. So it was a combination of them being really, really well prepared, and then us just not being as sharp as we usually were.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable. Sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw. There's nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Back in 2017, as we mentioned earlier, last weekend you had won the NEFL championship. It was a little bit of a struggle on that game. It was a little more of a defensive outing than most had predicted. Started off being at the end of the first half being down 15-0. What was the mood in the locker room? Do we still have the same energy coming up before the game, or is it a little bit of shock?
I wouldn't say it was shock. I would say we were very confident being down 15-0, especially knowing that one of those 7 of those points came off of a pick six from me. So knowing that the defense had really only given up a touchdown and a field goal prior to that, we felt really confident that the defense was going to keep them to even less than that in the second half, which they did. Didn't even allow a single point in the second half. So for us, going into halftime, the offense, we felt more like we needed to redeem ourselves, because not only did we not score, but we put ourselves in an even deeper hole by letting them get a defensive touchdown, which you never want to have happen, especially when you're not putting points on the board to make up for it. So we definitely felt that we had some making up to do in the second half, and came out and were able to start getting a running game going and some bubble plays and a little bit of play action and fake bubbles, and had to mix it up a little bit more than we usually do. But that was like you said, it was a defensive game. That defense was well coached. Usually, I haven't seen a European team, and this includes playing against Braunschweig last year, and the Unicorns. I haven't seen a defense with that many different schemes and different plays and blitzes. And they were blitzing corners, safeties, linebackers, running all different kinds of coverages. So it was definitely a very well coached team. Not very often do you see a team do that many many different things, and still make no mental mistakes. No one blew coverages. No one missed assignments. So that was definitely one of the top defenses I played against in Europe so far. So I mean, they gave us some fits, but we were able to come back in the second half and score just enough.
Mm-hmm. So coming out of halftime, your main adjustments were to include more of the quick game stuff. Am I correct?
Yeah, because we had tried in the first half a little bit deeper routes, trying to hit some deep stuff, and just found that we either didn't have time or just weren't on target for it. So we brought Curtis Slater over to offense, put him in the slot a little bit, and that forced the defense to make adjustments because anytime you put an American with his quickness and athletic ability into the slot, you have to respect him a little bit. So we gave him a couple bubbles, and they started widening out a little bit, which helped us. It turned into a 5-man box instead of a 6-man box, helped us open up the running game. And so even though he wasn't getting the ball every single play, he was kind of decoying for us and allowing other people to start making plays. So sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to realize what isn't working, what is working, and if you have to use people as decoys to help other people out.
All right, overtime. Give me that last play call. What was that last play call?
The last play call, it was actually similar to what some of the other touchdowns were, because we don't have just a true quarterback dive lead play in our playbook. But it was something where I just kind of look at the running back and call a dive play and then just say, hey, lead for me, and let's get it in there. And I was actually kind of hoping Tim would have scored on the previous play. We did a bubble and go, and the corner bit down, and Tim caught it on about the 5-yard line and almost got away from the safety coming over top on a spin move. And I thought he had scored at first. I started celebrating a little prematurely, but then yeah, it was a lot of fun to be able to lay on the ground after scoring the touchdown and look up, and I just remember thinking, all right, I'm in the end zone. Either there's going to be a flag and no one's running out, or suddenly there's going to be a huge rush of people. And luckily there were, before I knew it, 50 guys all circling around, jumping around. So I figured there weren't any flags, and definitely one of the best moments I've had so far playing football.
I can only imagine how that feeling. To know that on that final play it sealed the deal. It's something that very few athletes get a chance to experience at any level. So, man, congratulations. I'm glad you got to be a part of that. I know the other 10 guys on the field at the time felt the exact same way you do, and the rest of that program.
Yeah.
So, heck of a start of the season. Got the NAFL championship. We got actually pretty good. I'll say decent. That's the wrong word here. Good start to the league. So the last game you played league-wise, that was against Turkey Trojans, correct?
No, that was our first game in league. We played against the Crocodiles just previous to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still got a really good start. How's the rest of the season looking for the path to the 6th championship in a row?
It's looking pretty. We feel really confident, especially being able to go out of country, play a couple teams from Sweden. Even though one of the games was really close, we still are able to get some confidence from that. Not that we are lacking any, but just to have that extra boost of confidence, it's really good for the team. And we're practicing well. There's really good chemistry. There's no cliques on the team where people aren't just communicating or anything like that. So we're having a lot of fun, and we're just kind of trying to take it one game at a time. But I would say we're really confident about it. We obviously can't overlook anybody because there's some good teams in our league, and even in past years they've won the Maple Bowl, but they've had some losses during the regular season. So our goal is to try to make it through the whole season unscathed and without any L's on the column. So, but we feel good about it. We just got to focus on executing, practicing well, and then another part of it is just staying healthy.
I know you weren't present for the past years, but is there any telltale signs of a difference between this year's Helsinki Roosters compared to previous entities?
I wouldn't be able to answer that. Like you said, I wasn't there for it. So I don't know the level of excitement. I know that there is a really big buzz around the team right now. Like,
Mhm.
I don't see anyone going to practice and feeling like they don't want to practice or just loafing through practice. Like everyone's excited every time we're around each other because they know what we're capable of doing. So in that sense, like I don't feel like there's any reason why anyone would think that this year is going to be any different than past years.
Mhm.
Um, because I don't see how our level of excitement could get any higher right now.
All right, that's awesome to hear. Great football anywhere in the world is great football, and there's nothing better than that. So I wish you good luck the rest of the season. Hope everything goes well. So let's go on to a few other topics outside of football. What has been your experience living in a capital city such as Helsinki?
It's been a lot of fun for me. One thing that I like to do is just I like to walk around, just see buildings. I like seeing buildings and like going for views and stuff. So I've been able to go up. I couldn't even, don't ask me about names of places and stuff like that yet, but there's a hotel that I've been able to go to the top of, and you get a really beautiful view of the whole city. And it was nice being able to go on our our 2 trips to Sweden, going out on the ferry and being able to see the city kind of from a different perspective. Um, so I'm just kind of taking it in slowly. I'm not trying to just rush through and see everything there is to see in Helsinki right away because I don't want the last couple months to be too boring. But so I'm just slowly every week going around, walking to different places, just touring a little bit, being a little bit of a tourist. At some point, visit some other cities close by. Heard good things about going to like Turku and Tampere and some other cities. So I'll be visiting those cities as well, I'm sure. And then once it gets a little bit greener, go out and explore kind of like the natural part of the country as well.
Mhm. What's the difference in living experience in Finland compared to what Dresden was last year?
Yeah, they're actually pretty different. Probably one of the biggest differences was in Dresden specifically. I don't know about the rest of Germany, but in Dresden specifically, it's a really old, historic type of city. There's a lot of buildings that have been rebuilt from the war that have been bombed, and so you can go into there's museums everywhere, and you just get a lot of like really cool and interesting history. And then more in Helsinki, it's kind of a more technologically advanced city, I might say, where buildings are a lot newer. There's not really any old construction left. There's not really like any castles to visit or anything. And then like around Dresden, I was able to visit a couple castles and stuff. So it's different in that respect, but it's got more of the big city feel. It's kind of feels a little bit more like home, where in California, living close to Los Angeles, I'm used to like a huge city with just people everywhere.
Mhm.
And so Dresden was a really quiet place for me, which I actually liked. And then I would say Helsinki's kind of an in-betweener. It's kind of got a peaceful quietness, but then at times it's also a pretty big city, so it gets a little buzz going too.
Yeah. So you've been lucky enough to enjoy almost both sides of the spectrum, the real busy life, which is similar to your home life, and then having Dresden a little bit more quiet. Uh, Plans for the future. Are you wanting to continue this career, or what's the next step looking like?
I think that's more up to my body right now. I think my body feeling right now. I think I'd like to play one more year in Europe somewhere. One of my preliminary plans actually is my little brother is going to be graduating. He plays receiver at Minnesota Crookston right now, Adam. And so one of my preliminary plans that I've actually talked with him a little bit is possibly finding a team that wants both of us next year and being able to play with him. Because that would be a blast for me. I've never really been able to go to many of his games just because he was so much younger than me. Like he's 4 or 5 years younger than me. So anytime he was playing in high school, I was already off at college across the country, so didn't really get to see him play that much. But he's a much better athlete than I am, faster, quicker. It's fun for me getting to watch some of his highlights and hurdling people, spinning and stuff. So I already got to play with my other younger brother, Simon. Me and him played together in high school, and then I actually got to play against him in college for one game too. But so I'd love to be able to play with Adam somewhere next year. So that's a preliminary goal, but I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, I'd like to be able to maybe play one more year in Europe.
All right, so teams in Europe, you hear that? The recruiting pitch you need to use to get this guy on your roster is bring in Adam as well.
That's the key to my heart. That's the key to my heart.
So I just thanks for being here with us. Thanks for putting some great football out for us. I know the fans of the entire Europe are looking at Helsinki. Just continue that excellence. Looking to see if they can get that 6th championship. And man, it's exciting. It's exciting. We do have one comment for you. Nobody decided to ask questions. A little disappointed in your fans for that. But, here's your biggest fan.
He just wants the ball more on Monday.
You can't blame the guy. You really can't.
No. He'll get as many catches as he wants. Him and Bernard Luster and the rest of the receiving core. There's some special players. So I'm never shy to throw them jump balls anytime anywhere on the field. So I had some good receivers in Dresden last year, but these players are special this year.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. Talking to some of the other guys you've got up there around you in Helsinki and other places in Finland, they talk about those guys they've gotten for the Roosters. So, any shout-outs you got before we sign off?
Just my family, just all my brothers, my sister, my little nephew Wyatt, and then any family that might be watching. I got family in Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, New York, and Florida. So if anyone's watching, just know I love you guys, and be home in September.
Quick question: where at in Virginia?
Roanoke.
Roanoke. I'm 4 hours from there right now. I'm in Greenville, Tennessee. I've got family in Abingdon, just outside of Bristol. So,
gotcha.
So I love the land out here. I know it's a little different than LA, but I love it out here.
It's a little different. I like the country too, though.
So, well, man, hey, maybe we'll get a throw session one time, man. We're both in the States. So
let's do it.
All right, man. Thanks for being with us. And everybody else out there, thanks for being with us live at the podium. See you guys.